This is bear hunting season, so in this video, I'm going to show you how you can pack out a bear. As you already know, a bear is super heavy, often several hundred pounds, so you can't just drag him out the way you might do it with a deer. And even if you have some help, this would be super hard, and often you have to hike through some very thick bushes or some steep terrain. So I was hunting with my friend Lisa from Eagle Eye Hunting and Fishing Hunting Guide. She is the hunting guide, and we were in X9B, and this was the first weekend. We didn't have any luck, didn't see anything, and one of her hunters called her and said that they got a bear and they needed some help. As you can see, this was not my bear that I harvested, but I was very happy to be present during this process because technically I know it in my head how to do this, but I have never done it and I have never seen it. So now I feel more knowledgeable about this. I feel like I could do this by myself if I really had to. So the first step really is to fill out your tag. Obviously, this wasn't really possible while you had to drag that bear across the creek, but you want to do it really as soon as possible. And as you can see, Lisa is walking the hunter through of how to make that first cut and how everything will work out. And keep watching this video and then you will see it yourself. The first step is to make a very small cut at the lower belly, as low as possible, and then you carefully cut all the way up to the neck. You need to make very small cut. Make sure you do not puncture the stomach. You're just cutting through the hide and the skin, and then you're going to just basically separate the skin and everything that's underneath. You need to have very sharp knives. Several knives would be great, and a sharpener, because your knives will go dull. This is a very long process. It will take you several hours, and you just do this with very fine movements just to cut the skin off the body. That's basically what you're doing. And then what Lisa's doing here, once that was completely separated, then she made the cut on the underarm all the way up to the wrist, and you want to do this on all four legs so that eventually you can free the bone of the arm. And your whole purpose at this point is to preserve the hide. Obviously, you probably want to make either a rug or something out of it, so you need to get the hide off in one piece. And the arm is pretty hard. Once you're at the wrist, you need to find a joint, and you can basically just cut through it. It really shouldn't be too hard because you're not cutting through the bone, you're just cutting through cartilage that's connecting the joints. With the first arm, there was sort of a problem. I'm not sure. I don't think they went all the way up to the wrist, so they ended up sawing the bone, and that took forever. I mean, it must have taken like 20 to 30 minutes to saw it off. I think you want to make sure you find the wrist, because the joint is really not that hard to cut through compared to if you have to saw off the bone. And if you don't have any kind of saws, then you're kind of out of luck. So make sure to do that. The following legs and arms, I think they were fine. You kind of learned from the lesson that you need to go all the way up. With each leg, you're going to make a cut the same way you did on the first one. You're going to basically cut the skin open on the inside so you could free the leg. And as you could see here, he found the joint. This is a little bit strange, but a bear is very much human-like, the whole body. So you could move around his ankles and his knees the same way as you would do with a human. And once you find that spot, then you can just cut through the joints. It's still some work, but it's definitely doable. Those tendons are pretty strong. As you could see, you try to twist it in all kinds of ways, and then you just keep cutting, but it's still a lot easier than having to saw through the bone. sometimes it felt like we were in an operating room. There were like 4 or 5 people working on this bear. But I also want to say I'm not sure how one person could ever do this. I'm sure it's possible, but there has to be all these manipulating the limbs and moving it around and holding it in place so that the other person can free the hide. I'm sure it's doable, but I would say it would take at least twice as long as it took us. And I believe this whole process was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, and there were a lot of people working on it. You're going to separate the head from the body the same way you separated the feet from the legs. It's basically vertebrae. It's like a joint. You can cut through it, and then the head stays with the hide, and you just have the body. And it was very helpful to have several game bags. These hunters had quite a few of them. When you're deer hunting, you would have one game bag and you could fit a whole deer in it. But here, each body part was almost, in one game bag because each person was carrying one. And I was told they were very heavy. So if you only had one bag, you would have to carry everything in that one bag. And you couldn't even split it with anybody else. So it's good to have more than one. The arms came off kind of easily. I mean, it's still a lot of work because you have to make sure you're cutting it right. You don't want to cut into the meat just anywhere. You want to cut through the joint once again, but you want to cut all the meat that goes with it in one piece. But for some reason, they kind of had a hard time with the thighs. And I kept saying that it's the same as cutting off the legs of a rabbit, and everybody kept laughing at me, sort of like, how can you compare a rabbit to a bear? But it's true. So all those times I was field dressing a rabbit, I have learned how to cut off the thighs, and it's the same way for the bear. You want to cut around it as high as you can, and you're going to separate the bone, basically the thigh bone and the hip socket where the two meet. There's a joint there, and you can cut it actually pretty easily, and that's it. So you just want to do it the way I'm doing it, just kind of cut all around it, and then find the hip socket and just aim at that, and then cut it, and hopefully you're not wasting a lot of meat. I mean, you're not going to waste it, but you want to have it in one piece if possible. So if you have ever hunted rabbits, then those skills will come in handy. Just try to remember how you did the thighs. But this was actually great because I felt like at least I was also useful instead of just filming the whole thing. The next step was cutting out the 2 back straps. It's those 2 long pieces of meat running along the spine. And once again, I actually felt pretty confident because I even cut out the back straps of the rabbits. They're very small, but it is the same exact technique that you would use on a bear, which is actually easier because it's so much more meat. So the way I do it is just choose one side of the spine and cut right next to it, of course, very carefully, and just keep cutting, just with very fine movements, just keep cutting more and more, going along the bones, the ribs. You don't want to puncture anything. It's almost like filleting a fish, sort of. So you just keep cutting and keep going until you reach the end, and you will know when you're basically done. The way I start it usually is just sort of make a triangle on the top, just kind of like an upside down V, and then just start cutting. I'm sure I'm not doing it perfect. I probably do waste a little bit of meat, but I definitely don't mean to, but it does work. So super important to not forget these two great pieces of meat. They're one of the best. The same thing for the deer. It will work the same exact way. After this, we were left with just the torso, which meant the back, the ribs, the stomach, the lungs, the heart, all the organs, and the hide. So the two guys and Lisa, they carried off everything that we had just cut off, and their wives and myself stayed behind because, well, first of all, we had to stay behind, but I wanted to get the heart out, and possibly the lungs, and maybe anything else that I could get, because I do not like to waste anything. I'm trying to get the heart, because these guys were just gonna throw it away, and I can't live like that, so I need it. And I figured I just open up the chest cavity, and you kind of go down in between. And then on one end, I just cut into the ribs to cut them away. Oh, and all kinds of weird things are here. I don't know what's what. I'm not a med student. So, which one's the heart? That's gross.
So this is lung tissue.
Yep. Ew, I don't know if I want to eat that. I wanted to eat that first, but I don't think so.
It's really stretchy because all the air has come out of it now.
Oh my god, it's weird.
Deflated now.
It has touch it. It has a weird texture. Oh my god.
Then this is your heart right here.
Okay, this one?
Yeah.
All right.
So reach underneath it. You can probably grab it and pull the whole thing kind of out.
Oh, gross! It's still warm. Ooh, nasty. It's not as simple. Oh my god. Oh. Am I cutting it wrong?
You have to cut off the main.
So that's the connective tissue underneath it there.
You sound like you're a doctor. Are you a doctor?
I am a PA in the ER.
Oh, well, that's close enough. Right here?
So if you cut there, that's your main arteries and veins there.
So you want to cut those off.
So cut
like
it off.
This?
Cut it off like right here.
All right. Ha!
Now, wave it around in victory.
Okay.
That's a bear heart. Unfortunately, it's not my bear, but the heart is mine. Thank you. Ew, that's gross. Squishy. That's a big heart.
Yep.
All right, I have a bag over there. So you think we could eat the liver too? That's
the
weird.
only reason I would think that you can't is you cannot eat polar bear liver because it will give you a fatal dose of vitamin A.
Really?
Weirdly enough. So I would just double check before you eat it, but you can take it.
Oh, look, it's blue.
That's the coagulated blood inside the larger vessels in there.
This is very gross and very interesting at the same time.
So then down there you can kind of see is the diaphragm.
Yeah.
So that's what's keeping this, just the heart and lungs, separate from all the nasty gut part, which is full of all the germs that we don't want.
All right, let's see what's happening here. All right. So that big,
That's the diaphragm.
oh, that's
Your big
weird.
muscle that helps you breathe.
That looks like a a volleyball.
Yeah,
Feels like it.
It's a big, thick muscle wall.
So when someone punches you like that, that hurts, huh?
Yep. But
Oh
you
my
can
gosh.
probably pull the lungs out too. They're only connected up at the top.
If you want them.
If you want them, or if you just want to see them.
I don't know. I think I'm okay. I thought they would look different. I don't think I want to eat them now.
If you had a straw, you could stick it in there and blow them up.
Oh my god. It could get big, huh?
It would fill back up the chest cavity. This is because all the air has deflated out now, that they're like flabby.
That is so squishy. Isn't it weird when you squeeze it?
And it's so stretchy.
Yeah. What's this here?
And they go down way far in there. Fill up the whole thing.
Oh yeah, here's the other one.
Yeah.
Oh, that has still.
You can feel a
Blood
little bit of the
or
air in
air?
it. When you feel it, it almost feels like
It will
there's...
come out over there.
It's like almost like there's Rice Krispie treats inside of it.
Yeah, it's really squishy.
That's the like air pockets in there still.
That is so amazing. Well, this bear was not a smoker.
No,
He
nice,
was a happy
nice
lung.
pink lungs.
All right, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very pretty in a weird way. That's the liver, but no, I don't want it then. After all. All right, awesome.
Push the stop button.
And after 4 hours, we were finished. I'm hoping that this video was informative and educational to you. I know it wasn't perfect. This was these guys' first time, and Lisa had done it many, many times, but nothing is ever really perfect out there. But hopefully you liked it. If you have any questions or any comments, just leave me a comment below. And thank you so much for watching.